He had all that going on, but he came to the point saying, I just got to deny myself. I got to take up my cross, which is to really take up His cross. Ours may be singing, ours may be ministry, ours may be different things. Then we can follow Him, which is to follow God. It's the same path. It's the same thing. But denying ourselves and what we want is a hard thing. It's just push it off and say, God, whatever it takes to glorify You, so be it. Lord, just if You can, help me. You know, I'm suffering through this. You know, I got this going on. And if we could ever just calm down and realize how much He loves us, how much He really, really loves us, and how much He really wants us to prosper, then we'll begin to understand that, hey, whatever it is whatever it is. Some people have to go through life blind. Look at that blind man that was born blind, that said he was born blind for one purpose, to glorify God. He lived blind for so many years just to glorify God. What if that was you? What if that was you? As far as I know, there ain't none of us blind here today. We haven't had to suffer through. So can you imagine blindness? Not being able to see, that's tough. Could you imagine? Paraplegic? Not being able to use your neck down, but it's for the glory of God. Would you be willing to suffer through that? If it was to prove that God was able to raise people up and do things and do miracle works, would you be willing to go through that day after day and sit at arms at the gate because you can't get up and know it was for the glory of God when Peter and them would come by the gate of Beautiful and would say, stand up? Would you be willing to go through those things? If God would explain that to you? No. I believe if He explained to us everything that was going to go on, and if we had a detail by detail thing, we'd be going, I ain't going there. I'm just going to blow my brains out. I don't want to be paraplegic. I don't want to be blind. I'll just kill myself. I'll just get out of this. Lord, please. We wouldn't be like Jesus just saying, Lord, whatever it takes to glorify You. I think many people would say, I got to get out of here. I'm not going to go be beaten and put on a cross. I'm not going to go through all that for God. I'm just going to give up and hope for the best. Most people would. But thank God we don't understand some of these things when many times we want to understand. We want to know, Lord, why? But if we sometimes knew everything that was going to come in our life. A lot of you, we getting a little bit older and we got aches and pains. If we'd known that, would we be willing to go through what we have to go through? Or would we, Lord, I don't want to go through those things. Man. But He's saying clearly that if you want to follow your way, your life, and your thing, it's going to lead to death. But you're going to have to give up your life if you want life. And that's what we said. People are starving to death for life today. They are starving to death for peace and joy and love and all these goodies. They're starving to death for them. And you want to know why you can't get them? We can't deny ourselves. We can't even get by the first step. We can't get by the first step to say, God, whatever it be, let it be. Whatever it takes to glorify You, let it be. If that's what I got to go through for You, let it be. But how many of us are willing to do that? How many of us right now would say, Lord, whatever it takes to glorify You, so let it be. But don't let me be blind. But don't let me go. Don't let me do this. Don't let me go broke. Don't let me. You know, one of the biggest things today that whenever you look at the rich young ruler, he come to Jesus and said, how can I have life eternal? And Jesus said, follow the commandments. This I've done since I've been a young boy. Well, now go sell all that you have and give to the poor, and you shall be made perfect. He walked away saddened because he did not want to give up his riches. Why? Security. He felt that was security in his life, and how am I going to make it without having money? How am I going to make it without having all my debts paid? How am I going to make it without having this and that to be able to go through life? That's not trusting God. That's not trusting Him. Trusting Him is no matter, when you ain't got nothing, and you don't care if you got nothing, you know that He's going to supply your needs. That's trusting God. But most people want to have all their debts paid and have a decent bank account that they know that they'll be able to get a car if they want it or get something if they want it before they're willing to say, all right, I'm in good shape, let's go. I've got it. But where's the faith at in God with that? Where's it at? And most of us ain't going to get there. Most of us don't have the type of income to be able to rack in all of our debts paid off and have $1 million in the bank, are we? We're not. So we might as well get ourselves in the shape that we might as well just trust God and forget that $1 million. We might as well forget that and say that, Lord, you've paid my debts when I know that the numbers didn't add up. When I'm only bringing in $1,000 a month and you're paying $2,500 a month of debts. Where does that come from? He does it. I know He's done it for me for the past 6 months. The numbers don't add up. I can tell you right now, they do not add up taking care of Dad, a wedding, and my family. Them numbers don't add up. But our debts is paid every month. They are. I can tell you right now, we have not missed a payment on anything. But we don't have no income like we had. And He's still supplying. He's still supplying the needs.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
When Dad got sick, the only income we had was what I was bringing in, which was $7 something a month. Our house payment was $585. His hospitalization insurance was $2 something. We had our electric bill and all utilities, gas, food. We got another $30 a month these days. And everything was paid. If you ask me today how, I could not tell you.
That's what He wants. He wants us to get in our shadow. He wants us to get in the shadow of we deny. Because, you know, Pat, we'll start worrying our mind, and we don't even really want to praise the Lord. We will. We'll start getting so down in ourselves that we really don't even want to read our Bible because we're so worried about that situation. But every month, Did He not supply? When all He was saying was, why don't you just glorify me? Look what I'm doing for you.
And on top of that, you had books.
Yeah. And He supplies. If we just learn to deny ourselves and the way we think it ought to be, and to say, God, whatever, you may not answer every prayer, you may not bring me that $1 million, you may not bring this, but Lord, I'm going to trust you.
That $1 million would probably destroy
It would destroy us. Most people get destroyed over money. There's very few people, really. We really have good intents, just like the disciples had there. They had good intents to call fire down from heaven. They did. Their intents was to save the other 8 villages and just destroy one. Well, the price of the few is worth the price of the many is what they're looking at. But was it the right thing? No, because all the villages got saved in Acts 10. All of them got saved and filled with the Holy Ghost. So was they right? No. They was going to do wrong. But at the moment, it looked like a great idea. And that's the way they thought. Said, well, they're not going to accept us. Let's just wipe them out. Let's call down fire, Lord. But see, that's how we are. At the moment, we think, well, if I had this, it'll be great. So, Lord, provide that, and we'll go on. Lord, do this, and we'll go on. Yes.
No, I thought on this a lot of times. He's talking about the rich ruler. And when he says, all these I followed from my youth up, and Jesus don't rebuke him on that, but he says, well, then go sell all you have. I think he was wanting to look, if you had followed all the commandments, you wouldn't have a problem with the last part.
Right.
You know, most people, you know, they're like, well, he followed them all of his life, but then he didn't say it, he didn't want to go sell it. But I think it was deeper than that. I think that there's one of them, you know, like when you're speaking to someone, but you don't want to lay it right out there blunt in their face. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, because, you know, it's odd that it goes from that to that, you know.
Yeah.
He says, Lord, I followed all these from my youth up. He said, well, then go sell all you had.
Right.
You know, if he had followed all of them, you know, if money wasn't more important to him than God, you know, have no other God before me, then he wouldn't have had no problem doing that.
I wonder why Jesus didn't ask him about the first 2 commandments.
Yeah.
I always wondered, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy soul, all thy mind, and love others thyself. Why didn't he ask those 2 commandments of him? The 2 that Jesus declared that all the law and the prophets hang on. If you follow these 2, you'll obey every other law they are. You'll break. You ain't no commandment you won't break. You'll do anything and everything to obey me. Everything hangs on those two